Come on, give it up, give it up. Give it up for Brother Thaddeus. Certainly we thank him, At this time, we're going to call on the eulogist of the hour, none other than the Reverend Al Sharpton, who certainly does not need no introduction. So at this time, we will hear from the president and founder of the National Election Network, the host of Politics Nation on MSNBC Now. MS Now, let's hear from Reverend Al Sharpton at this time.
First, let us pray. Dear God, we come this morning as humble as we know how. We come to celebrate the life of Xavier Wells. We come with a painful acknowledgement of you allowed him to return home at a young age. We can't question what you do, but we can ask for the strength and power to be given us to go through this and understand the meaning of this and to seek what is required of this at this hour. Look on his family, his mother, his father, his siblings, and all of his blood relatives that long after the cameras are gone, long after the crowd stop coming by, they will bear the burden of an empty chair in the house. They will bear the burden of memories that will not ever leave them. And give them the strength to find some meaning and give them the memory of the joys that he brought them and wipe away their tears from their eyes so that they can see and be what he would want them to be at this hour. We don't have words or anything we could give, but you have the strength and the power to hold them up. And we ask for that strength today. And look down here in Mississippi today and let us pursue justice. Whatever the situations are that led to this, let every stone be rolled back and every veil be torn asunder. And let truth pop out of the ground like a flower. And let justice flow down like a water. And mercy like a mighty stream. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen. Let me first give honor to the pastor who has been so wonderful in allowing us to be here today. Senior Pastor Pagel and Executive Pastor Brownsville. Reverend R.D. Holmes, who heads National Action Network in Tallahassee, came all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, and to some of those, there you are, I'm looking for you, you did the scripture. Some of those that came to just give strength to the family. We honored, flew all the way from New York with me this morning. Spike Lee is with us. And the one and only T.O., Terrell Owens, wanted to be here with the family. In fact, if you look to your right, everybody look to your right, shake hands with that person because you are Elmer and Christian's special guest. Everybody, shake hands with the person to your right. So you can't say you were not special from the family. Everybody here. Before I start the eulogy, I want us to hear from the mother and father of Nolan, because they are the ones that bear the burden, the pain, and the will to go forward to make his name stand for what it should stand for. And I want us to hear their words. Many of us have different emotions, but no one's emotion should override the emotions of the mother and father. We are here to stand with them. This is their child. And you can't be more angry or hurt or burdened than them. So don't outrun them. Let us stand and uphold them at this hour of grief. Let me ask them to come and give a few words. The mother and father, Elmore and Christine.
First, I want to give all thanks and honor and glory to God for choosing Elmore and me to be Nolan's parents. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful 18 years that you blessed us with him. Thank you for the joy he brought not only to our family, but also to his friends and everyone in the community whose lives he touched. Nolan had such a gentle, calming spirit about him. He had a way of making people feel seen, welcome, and valued. He could lift your confidence with just a few words and make you feel like you belonged. If you ever had the privilege of meeting our son Nolan or calling him a friend, then you experienced a glimpse of God's love through him. He was both protective and nurturing. He often told us that one day he wanted to have 3 daughters that he would name Sophia, Charlotte, and Olivia. He had a deep love for the Lord and an unwavering faith that was evident in the way he lived his life. As much as our hearts are broken, we find peace in knowing that our son is resting in the arms of the Lord. We will miss everything about him, from his quiet nature to the corny jokes, his gentle smile, the way he made everyone around him feel comfortable, loved, and at ease. Your absence has left an emptiness that can never truly be filled. A piece of our hearts will always be missing. Nolan, your father and I are incredibly proud of you. We've always been proud of you, of the young man you were, and we will always be proud of the legacy of love, kindness, and faith that you have left behind. In a world that can often feel dark, be like Nolan. Be the light that brightens the lives of those around you. Be the warmth for those who may be feeling the coldness of the world. Love deeply, protect fiercely, and welcome others with kindness. And remain faithful knowing that God is always with you. Lastly, I ask that each of you keep Nolan's memory alive. Hold him close in your hearts. Share his stories and never stop saying his name. As long as we continue to remember him, his light will continue to shine through us all. Nolan, we love you. We'll continue to fight for you. Yes. And until we meet again, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You guys gotta excuse me. I might be kind of all over the place a little bit. Just from, first of all, I want to say out of all my kids, Nolan was the one that would crawl backwards on the regular. Like babies crawl forward, he would crawl backwards. And he had this crazy haircut that I just I don't know, you had to see it to know him. But I want to start off by saying how proud I am of you, my son. You grew up to be a very young man that everyone enjoyed to be around. The constant lectures from me about having character, self-respect, self-discipline, and perseverance really hit home with you at an early age. These were the things that I had to live through to really be able to pass down to you and your siblings. I remember when you first asked to play basketball, and I admit I was kind of worried because you never picked up a basketball, you never shot one. We didn't have a actual basketball goal. The only thing we had was that Walmart special, the little plastic one that everybody breaks in the first few days. But on that first day of tryouts, you shocked me and your mom. And just to make a long story short, you, Jalen, and Javon won y'all first championship together. Middle school was even more exciting because you were not just making a name for yourself on the football field, the basketball court, and the baseball diamond, but you were also laying the groundwork for your little brother Elmore. I nicknamed you Mr. Cool Hands because it seemed like you was catching a touchdown every game. You wanted to be the best. So I poured all my knowledge into you that I could by taking you to the gym to work out, taking you to the beach to do drills in the sand, teaching you how to watch film, how to study your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And you carried these teachings all the way through high school and had an amazing run. Also during that time, you made a lot of friends. You helped a lot of people, and you became well liked by many. It really warmed me and your mother's heart when we would get a phone call or an email from a teacher talking about something that you did for a fellow student. All the teachers love Nolan. The day you came home from college, you came in the room and you asked me about training. You would always ask us, or always tell us about things that you want to do for us. When you signed with a school, you want to do this and take me and your mother there. And I would always tell you that, son, you need to take it one day at a time. During this time, you trained, you worked out. The bond with your younger siblings grew stronger because they looked up to you for motivation, especially your younger brother, which played the same position that you did. You guys' competition, Cannon, Nolan loved you, and he wanted you to do just as good as he did. Ethan, the same way. Even though you weren't a receiver, he wanted you to do great things. Carly, Jaden, with you guys being the oldest, he wanted the best for you guys. And I know that he would have did anything he could to make you guys happy. I just want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for coming out and celebrating our son. Nolan meant a lot to a lot of people. And today it just shows us how much he meant to the community, to the country, and to the world. Thank you guys again for coming out. We appreciate it.
Can we have all of his sisters and brothers to stand? Give the family your love. James Wellborn is here, the father of Sonia Massey. We appreciate him being here. When I was called about what happened to Nolan, and as the days went on, the parents came to our Harlem headquarters of National Action Network and told the story as they knew it at that time. Attorney Ben Crump, who I call the Attorney General of Black America, began looking into this situation. And since then, every day, I have thought about what this means and what it could mean. And a lot of what this could mean, it could be the healing or it could be the poking of the wound. That's going to be decided by what we do. The senior pastor of this church had the courage of his faith to open the doors of this church and let this family funeralize him, even though he knows that some, I'm sure, in the city would wonder why he would even do that. And the dividing of our children of God is something that we have to get over. One of the things that I'm glad to see is that there are people of all races at this funeral. And there are people of all ages. All whites are not a racist, and all blacks are not angry. Somewhere in the middle, we've got to meet and find what is just and fair. And that is why we want to celebrate Nolan and at the same time say we want a full and thorough investigation. We don't want nothing sugar-coated either way. But for an 18-year-old young man to no longer be with us, we want answers. Not biased either way, just answers. And I think that for the family, the closure can come if there is justice. We will see where it goes. Some have prejudged. I do not think that it is appropriate for either side of opinions to prevail without a backup and fair investigation. We cannot say it was racist, but we cannot say it was not racist. So let's not judge either way until all the evidence is in. And in that light, let me say this, and I'm going to take a brief text and I'll move on. There are those that are so full of hate that they would send hate messages to the house of these parents. They sent one that Christine shared with Attorney Crump and I, and it accused her and Elmer of just stirring trouble and accused the lawyers, Attorney Crump and I, or they just want money. First of all, I don't get any money in any of what we do. most of the cases that you have seen us do, we help to pay the funerals and all of that, and never ask for a dime back, even if they got settlements. But since Mississippi's so special, I'm not only saying we don't want nothing. I want to say right here now, and I'm inspired by who accused us of that I want to put up from National Action Network and me, I want to offer a reward of $50,000 to anybody I want to put a reward up for $50,000 for anybody that could give the information that will lead to an arrest and a conviction in the case of what happened. He was not on that island by himself. Somebody saw something and knows something. So I didn't come to make money. I came to give money. Stand up and tell the truth. Whatever it is, good or bad, we're not going to prejudge it. But we cannot end it until we know all the facts. So all you got to do is reach out to Attorney Crump's office, and National Action Network could do that if it leads to an arrest and conviction. And I guarantee you, you'll have it before the sun goes down. I want to thank Tyler Perry, who has paid for the funeral. We didn't call him. He called me and said, I want to pay for that. I want to thank Byron Allen and others that have contributed, some that don't even want their name called. I was thinking as a scripture in Genesis, the 4th chapter, that passage that starts at the 2nd verse said, and again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain a worker of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought unto the Lord an offering of fruit of the ground. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock, and their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, why art thou angry? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it. Cain spoke to Abel, his brother. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. The story of what we have faced in America is a question that started in the first book of the Bible with the first siblings. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Or will we, out of some emotions, some anger, some jealousy, some envy, maybe some bigotry, decide rather than deal with building up the beauty that God put in us, that we will harm our brother and that we will harm our sister, and through some malice try to hide it. But the Bible says that the victim's blood cried from the ground. I hear this morning Nolan's blood crying from the ground. Am I my brother's keeper? Or am I the keeper of some secret, some information that you could give and won't stand up? But the blood's going to haunt you. Those in law enforcement, your job is to follow the oath, not to follow the preference of what goes down. There are those that want me to condemn people before we know whether they're right or wrong. Now, yes, there's some questions around this. And this is not a rally. This is a praise and worship service. And we'll deal with those questions. But, you know, it's interesting. I exercise every morning. I tore something in my knee about 2 weeks ago. And they told me when they did the x-ray, Reverend, that I had torn my meniscus. And I had to go to get some surgery. And they said when I went to get surgery, they said, well, wait a minute, your doctor has to give us your history so we don't get the wrong thing to deal with your surgery. So the medication you may have and the what you have to do to recoup and the exercise you have, we got to base that on your medical history. Well, the reason why what's happened to Nolan under unquestioned, unanswered questions, gone, phone and keys found 2 days later. You don't tell nobody you had the phone or the keys. When you confronted, you first tell another story. Then when they finally get the phone and the keys, there are things erased from the phone. There's just too many unanswered questions. Somebody saying that he told us he was leaving the island. So I don't know an 18-year-old person, black, white, or undecided, that gives somebody their phone. I'm a lot older than 18. I wouldn't trust Crump with my phone. So we just raising the questions. Where is my brother? He went out with y'all. He came back not with the, where is my brother? And because of the background, like they asked me before they give me surgery, they went to my medical history. So the reason why a lot of people in the nation are looking at this Nolan situation is that we've looked at history in Mississippi. Some of us remember what happened in Mississippi. And because of what happened in Mississippi, doesn't mean it's guilty today, but before we can medicate and heal today, we got to look at your history. Because history will decide, can you handle the medication? I look back into history, and I noticed that Emmett Till happened here. All the way to Medgar Evers happened here. Based on the history, We got to be able to dig deep. We can't have people in law enforcement saying there was no foul play before an investigation. We got to look at the history. Now, I know, and I told Christine and Elmer, they're going to say, you had Sharpton come down. And that could be controversial, but don't get me wrong. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in a section called Brownsville. I first had, my parents had a nice home in Queens, nice middle-class home. And Daddy left, and Mom had to move to a tenement in Brownsville. I didn't grow up in Fort Greene like Spike Lee. They were middle class. We was poor. We weren't even poor. We was poor. And we had, Spike don't know nothing about this, but we had roaches. And I remember I went one night and I went in the kitchen. Sister had gone to bed, mother had gone to bed. I looked in the kitchen, and I saw these roaches all over the kitchen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm looking for the raid. Some of y'all grew up like me, know what raid is. I'm looking for the raid to spray the roaches. I ran and woke up my sister. And I said, there's roaches all over the kitchen. She said, leave me. I said, get up. You got to help me. There's roaches all over the kitchen. She kind of stumbled and come down the hall and hit the switch and fixing her eyes. And when she looked, she said, ain't no roaches in here. I said, no, they were right here. She said, you woke me up. I don't see no roaches. She went back to bed. She was angry, didn't want to hear from me. I went back again and looked in the kitchen, roaches everywhere. I went back and grabbed again. I said, come on. You got to see it. I'm not kidding. She stumbled in. She cut the light on. Roaches was gone. So I'm now in the little hallway trying to figure this out. And I figured it out. That when you cut the light on, the roaches run. I did not come to Mississippi to cause no trouble. I come to cut the light on. And if we cut the lights on, you're going to see roaches start running all over. It's time to cut the light on. It's time to get rid of our differences. It's time to let love rule over hate. It's time for a new Mississippi. It's time for a new coming together. It's time for us to stand together no matter who's wrong. God will make a way for his children. That's why God can use this occasion to make blacks and whites in a state with a bad history say in Nolan's name, we're going to come together and we're going to find out the truth here together. We're going to love together. We're going to make his name be the difference between those of the past. We're going to have some justice and some fairness no matter what it is. We're going to cut the light on. We're going to get rid of the roaches. Thank you and God bless you. Before we leave, I must hear from where we go from here and the family as we pursue an open, impartial look at what happened to Nolan. May we hear from the Attorney General of Black America, Attorney Benjamin Crump.
Y'all give it up for Reverend Al Sharpton. What a message. What a message. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Justice for Nolan Wells. Now let's say it so his family will know they are not alone. Justice for Nolan Wells. Thank you. I stand before you with a plea for justice. I'm so grateful that Reverend Al Sharpton, America's civil rights leader, did not think it robbery to stand with Christine and Elmo and all of their family, to let them know that despite what some people may say or do that is so insensitive, so disrespectful, so inhumane, while you all are grieving the worst loss that any parent could have, that people from New York, people from Los Angeles, people from Chicago, Detroit, London, Paris, all over the world has been calling Nolan Wells' name. Justice for Nolan Wells. I am so very grateful, Reverend Al, Reverend Toon, that we have a great team of lawyers and investigators, because it's always a team effort. As I heard Elmo often talk about, T.O., Nolan was a great teammate. And everybody who's ever played on a team and who has been successful in their endeavor understands that you're only as good as your teammates are. So I want to just acknowledge Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Gary Buffkin, Attorney Carlos Moore, Attorney Camila Moore, and all those great paralegals and investigators and activists. All the people who are encouraging people to call and give us information so we can get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. We want to thank you all. It matters. It matters. We're on a ferocious search for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And so it is very important that you all understand our legal team. And we have these great co-counsels, but Reverend Al, we're all co-counsels. Anybody who's seeking the truth for what happened to Nolan Wells, I want you all to know that you all are our co-counsels. Amen? Y'all all our co-counsels. And on this legal team, we stand for truth, no matter who it implicates or exonerates. We stand for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. We stand for transparency, because we don't need law enforcement to narrate, because we want transparency, because we can see. We don't need them to tell us what they think. And that's why we need all of you to encourage people who were on Horn Island on July 4th. If you took a picture, if you have a video, if you have Snapchat, if you have anything, we are pleading on behalf of Elmo and especially on behalf of Christine. As she said, any parent would want the answers as to what happened to their child. They went out on the boat came back, and Nolan washed up on the shore 2 days later dead. Wouldn't you want answers? Wouldn't you want transparency? Wouldn't you want the truth? Wouldn't you want justice? I mean, is that so much to ask? I think so much about Reverend Al and all these cases where we champion the cause for justice, whether it was any number of young people. I think about Trayvon Martin. I think about Michael Brown. I think about Breonna Taylor. I think about Botham Jones. I think about Stephon Clark. I think about Sonia Massey. I think about so many of our children that were taken from us in highly questionable circumstances. And all the time when Reverend Al and NAACP and leaders show up to say, hold on, we want answers. We want answers because we love our children just like you love your children. Our tears are just as painful as your tears. Our pain hurts just as much as your pain. So whatever you would do for your children, if they were on that boat on Horn Island on July 4th, we want you to do it for Nolan Wells. Whatever investigation you would give for your children, we want you to do it for Nolan Wells. Whatever searches you would do on people's phones for your children, we want you to do that for Nolan Wells. Do it for Nolan Wells. Because really, if we're thinking like co-counsels, understand that Nolan Wells was the son of Christine and Elmore, but he really was all of our sons. Because if something this tragic could happen to their son, it can happen to your children. So we all have to stand up together and say we're fighting for justice for Nolan Wells because he is our son too. And they want us to be quiet. Reverend Al, Reverend Holmes, they want us, Crump, won't y'all just go ahead and, we already told you it was no foul play. What do you keep making so much noise? Well, until we get answers, until we get to truth, until we get to justice, we're going to stand up and we're going to keep ringing the justice bells for Nolan Wells. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells here in Mississippi. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells in the United States of America. We're going to ring the justice bells for Nolan Wells all over the world because Nolan life mattered. Nolan's 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 life mattered. Okay. Now, I was gonna. Christy, Emma, can you all come up with this one last time? Y'all understand, really, we work with so many families. The reason we all got to stand on our feet and say Nolan life mattered Because as Reverend Al said, at some point, the cameras are going to go away, the crowds are going to go away, the government investigation going to go away, and they're going to feel so alone, as if nobody cared, that nobody felt that Nolan's life mattered. So I want you to stand to your feet and let them know that Nolan's life matters. 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 Nolan's life matters.
Let me say to Christine and Elmo, before we do the prayer of committal and escort the family out, I just got a text, Christine and Elmo, you know that Tyler Perry said he would pay for the funeral. He must be watching because he said, I'm going to match you and put up $50,000 more. So we putting up $100,000 for anybody that'll come forward. We just want the truth, that's all. We just want the truth. And we want to thank Tyler Perry. He must have been watching. We want to thank Colin Kaepernick, who paid for Colin Kaepernick, a real giant in our community that shouldn't be disrespected by anybody. But I'll leave that for when I get back to Harlem. But thank you, Colin, for what he did for this family. I'm going to ask Reverend R.B. Holmes to give us the prayer of committal.
2 weeks ago. It's a story we have followed well. The national media has followed, and there's been widespread speculation on social media as far as what happened to him on July 4th when he went to Horn Island with a group of friends on a boat and never came back. His body was found 2 weeks ago in the early morning hours of July 6th after an extensive search in the water around Horn Island and the Mississippi Sound. Concerning that $50,000 reward at the end of the service, Al Sharpton also said that Tyler Perry would offer another $50,000. So essentially,
what do you guys think? I see there's a lot of, in the comments, when Al Sharpton and Ben Crump got up on stage, there was a lot of people who had, different feelings about what was being said. There was a lot of you guys that had different feelings about what was being said. I want to know, what do you guys think about what was being said? And then I'll let you know, what I think about it. Let me know what you think. And, all opinions are welcome. If you liked what they say, even if you didn't like what they say, that's what makes us different as people, because we are different individuals. Let me see what I can see during some of these. Looks like everybody's being let out now. Prayers for the family. Those are the children, leave us young. So, potential copyright strike. Yeah, I'm going to edit that out at the end. So once I'm done with the recording, I'm going to edit that out at the end. Thank you. Reflex, too many puppets, industry puppets around in this case. Adam said it was horrible. No Charge says, I'm not racist. I'm just not going swimming with white people, friends, or not just put my life in safety. Hey, to each his own. Each his own. B said, horrific so-called funeral. Connie says, no justice for Nolan Wells. Nolan Wells' life matters. Nutt said, needs to be said, this is happening in real time. So now they're putting up $100,000 reward. Now they're putting up $100,000 reward. For what has happened to Nolan. If anybody has any information. Now it's $100,000 reward. Let me switch this screen real quick. Let me switch the background screen of the. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Advocating for an investigation. How the funeral happened so quick, no arrest. Yet this is crazy. All right, so some of you guys felt like this was a political stand. Some of you guys felt like it was the wrong time. I read a lot of your comments. A few of you were cheering, you know, that what Al Sharpton was saying and Ben Crump was saying. But a lot of you people felt it was the wrong time for them to talk about what they were talking about. You guys want to hear, my honest opinion on it and what I think? Now, for guys who know my story, I actually lost a son. I lost a son myself. So I know what it's like for a parent to have to bury their own child. So that's something I wish on nobody. But it's happened to me before, and I've had to do it. So when it comes to my opinion, when it comes to your kid's funeral, but like I said, this is just me. It's me. I believe, for me anyway, there's a certain time and a certain place for certain things. And I would have saved his mom and dad to get up last. His mom and dad are the ones who raised him. His mom brought him into the world. I would have loved to see them go up last. You know how they say save the best for last? I would have loved to see that happen. I would have loved to see the funeral remembered with his mom up there talking last. I believe she deserved that. Now, I don't know if they talked about this beforehand. I don't know what happened beforehand, but I do know when I had to do, when ours was done, it was an order when you spoke. And for my son, his mom was the last person to speak, because she brought him into the world. And during my son's funeral, he was only 3 years old, but we talked about everything was about him, from his first step, his first word. Even though he was 3, we tried to say everything he accomplished. There was even some, if you want to say maybe riffraff in the family, that had to be put to the side. So that had to be put to the side to make it about him. Now, I understand they do want the truth out. I understand that. Whatever the truth is, because none of us in this chat were there. There's not one of us in this chat who was positively there and saw anything. Because if you were, you would be trying to claim that 100K right now. So there's not one of us in this chat that know anything that happened to him. None of us really know if it was an accident or purposely. None of us know if anybody did anything to him. None of us know if it was the friends. None of us know if it was the girl he was with, her friends, anybody of the hundreds of people who was on the island. We don't literally know anything. The only thing we can do is try and piece things together from what we see from hearsay and things like that. But I do feel that during that time, I wanted to hear more about Nolan. I wanted to hear more about his accomplishments. Now, his dad did say about the championship. His mom spoke, but he had 18 years on this earth. I know there was a whole lot more they could have said and made it more about Nolan. This was his day. This was his time. And some of that stuff, I believe, could have been saved afterwards. Could have been a news conference. It could have been some sort of a press conference afterwards. Maybe if they even wanted to do it before the funeral. But not while he's sitting there laying there in a casket and people are there to honor him. Yes, and the dad's story and the mom's story, it was all, it was all beautiful. All beautiful. It really was. But that's just my honest opinion. Everybody's different. It's just the fact that if it comes back that it was just an accidental drowning, if it comes back to just that would kind of put a stain on the end of the services from what our Sharpton and Ben Crump was saying. Now, if it comes back that somebody did do something, now it's a different story. It was a gamble that was taken, and we will see how that gamble ends up. But me personally, it wasn't enough about Nolan. I need to hear more. I wanted to hear more. I grew up in, so I live in Florida. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles, California. Home of Compton, South Central, Watts, Crips and Bloods, Mexican gangs, all that. You know how many funerals I've been to growing up in high school with friends that have died in gang violence? It was a lot. It was a lot. And during these funerals, even for the ones that we know for a fact, this person died from a drive-by shooting. This person died from a stab wound. This person died because of some sort of gang violence. We know. Big Mama, or if you want to call it Big Mama, the grandmas, usually they would come up and say, this is so-and-so's day. This is their day, not y'all's. So let's make it about them and make it about their past and all the good and what they've done. Basically saying, not a time to rally up, go outside and start retaliating and gangbanging. And there was so many grandmas that would say that during these funerals, before the funeral started. So maybe that's why I get, and I think that's the way I think. Yeah, I see a lot of people saying, why no open casket? Well, we also have to remember, we don't know the condition of his body because his body went through 2 autopsies. So we have to remember that too. His body did go through 2 autopsies. So his body had to be pretty much tried to be preserved that whole time. And not only the autopsies, but he was in the water for 2 days. So I don't want to be very detailed, but you start getting bloated, the gases. I did another, some of you guys probably weren't following me this long. One of my biggest videos that blew me up was the case of Giovanni. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the case of Giovanni, I believe it is, but they called him Gio. He was from North Carolina, came down here to Florida, came down here to visit his family. And it was his dad's side of the family he's really never met. So he came down by the Sarasota area with his mom, and then his dad's side of the family, his dad's in jail, but like his cousins or whatever came and picked him up. And Gio, when they came and picked Gio up, this happened about a year ago, actually. It was probably one of the first cases I covered. One of the first that started my momentum on Fugitive TV was Gio. And it only happened an hour south of me. Well, his cousins picked him up, and Gio went missing that same night. The exact same night Gio went missing. And the cousins called his mom around 2:30 a.m. because they picked him up really late. It was like 12 o'clock at night or something. They picked him up. He went missing, and the cousins called the mom to let them know he went missing. And the story was, while they're on a highway, which is I-75, he jumped out the car and started running off. And people were like, oh man, the cousins, they did something to him. They had to. Why would he jump out the car and start running off? Nobody found him. A couple days later, Gio was found in a pond right off of the highway. A couple days later. And even me, if you go back and look at those videos, I pulled up every cousin that picked them up. I did background. I exposed all their backgrounds. I did everything, right? Because some of them had backgrounds and I exposed everything. And everybody's like, why would he just go out the car and just run out the car? And the mom was like, why would he do that? And then, but nobody really knew, right? Well, later on, the full story comes out. The full story. And when they called the mom, they told the mom, hey, we were smoking. We were getting high. He couldn't take what we were giving him, and he got paranoid, jumped out the car, and ran across the highway. We tried looking for him. We couldn't find him. Now, to this day, people, are like, why didn't you go back and look for him? What the hell's going on? Why didn't you go back? But these people in the car had criminal past already. And if I remember correctly, I think one of them was even on probation. So they weren't even supposed to be smoking and having that stuff in the car to begin with. So they all got scared and was like, we out of here. They didn't think nothing. Nolan just ran out the car. So they were like, look for a little bit, and then they left. And, to this day, we fought them. You shouldn't have left him, you shouldn't have left him. And we were still wondering how he got into the pond. How did he get into the pond, though? Well, law enforcement came across a video. And that video showed Gio. It was a video from a Home Depot. That video showed Nolan actually. So they used traffic cam video of him running across the highway from the car. So we did see him run across by himself. Nobody chased him. Then there's another video of him running in between a set of trees. And in between a set of trees, there's a pond there. There's no lights and it's dark. So most likely when he was running, he ran into the pond. And the pond is not that deep, guys. I personally went down there because, like I said, it's an hour from me. The pond was not that deep. But he fell into the pond and unfortunately drowned. And they say a lot of it had to do with him smoking or whatever, But if I remember correctly, I don't even think Gio had an open casket. All because of the way his face looked after he was in the pond for a couple days. But I remember that case like it was yesterday because different situations, but some of the circumstances are the same. And it ended up being an accident. Unfortunately, Gio ended up doing it to himself and nobody knew. So all I'm saying is, I've learned from doing this channel and doing these cases, I have learned plenty of times that you have to keep an eye open. You have to look at all angles. And you have to keep your options open of what could happen. Real Cool says, I know Horn Island. I'm 47, outdoorsman, right here in Ocean Springs. Now, Real Cool says they placed Nolan there. Now, the question is, if somebody did place him there, who? That would be the question of who? Thank you, Lola. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tracy said, this is why I'm waiting on an autopsy. Then I can make a judgment. I agree. Adam says word and not jump to conclusions. Chica says, you never know what reaction you're going to get from a drug chasing high. You're correct. You are correct. And it was supposedly just, Gio was just smoking green and got paranoid. So everybody is different. PhD says, I can subscribe. Ray is brilliant. I try. I try. I keep an open mind. I use a lot of common sense and try and find facts in the situations. And that's what I try and do. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. I really appreciate that. How long it takes for the results? It all depends. It could be anywhere from a week to a couple weeks. I've seen results come back in months. So it just really all depends. Now, toxicology is different. Toxicology usually takes a couple weeks to 30 days. That one is longer. So we do know from the toxicology that alcohol should at least be in his system because he's pictured drinking High Noons, which is an alcoholic beverage. I got some in the refrigerator right now. So that should at least, we should know that comes back in his system. Now, anything else, we don't know. Boston Lover says, no one knows where he exactly went in the water. Do you? You're right. Nobody knows exactly. If they knew exactly where he went in the water, then we would all know some questions would be cleared up. But we really don't know. Somebody has to be the voice of sanity. Yeah. Is the autopsy supposed to be released sometime today or is it sometime this week? You know what? This is a great question. This is $1 million question. Now, Mississippi's public reports on autopsy, Mississippi's public, but you have to make a written request. Now, they will give you like a cliff notes of the autopsy, but not a detailed report if you're not law enforcement, law, or somebody close with the family. Yeah, Gio, it was, far as I remember, it was just normal green. It was normal green, but he wasn't used to it. And he got paranoid. Which said, so are you saying that his bruises came from drowning? Well, what kind of bruises were on him? And who gave that official report? How do y'all know it's alcohol? Well, there's a picture of him drinking a High Noon. So if you've been following the case and seeing the pictures of him on the boat, there's a clear picture of him with a can of High Noon in his hand that's open, and his friend has a Michelob Light can. The autopsy must have revealed something significant. Why else Al Sharpton put up that money for information? If the here's the thing, if an autopsy did reveal something else, let's say it revealed something else, we have to remember Al Sharpton and Ben Crump can't press criminal charges. They can't do anything legally, right? So even if they do get information, they can't do nothing legally. The only thing they can do is gather up information that they can and then possibly submit it to the prosecution's office and say, hey, this is what we have, and then turn things in. So that they can do. There are no cameras on the island. There's nothing on the island. There's not even a bathroom on that island. You have to go into the water to use the bathroom. What age can you legally drink in the US? 21. So all those kids were technically illegally drinking. Now, if you go into Canada and you go to Quebec, I know you could drink there at 18, but the United States is all 21. Drowning in shallow water. It is crazy, but that's what happened to him. Caught us all off guard, and we saw the proof of him stumbling into the pond by himself. Panicked. He probably stumbled in the pond, panicked because it's dark. You got to remember, there's no lights. And the only reason why we can see him is because the camera from Home Depot had a night vision on it. Just like my cameras are here at my home. I have night vision, but you might not see at nighttime. So he probably stumbled in the water high and panicked. Water got, and he drowned, unfortunately. Are all Nolan's fans invited to the service? You know what? I was wondering if all the friends were going to be invited. I was wondering that. I even wondered if the girl Katie that he was talking to was invited. I was wondering that. But then again, even if they were invited, they probably, even if they didn't do anything, let's say they didn't do nothing, they probably would not want to go just because of the scrutiny and the publicity and being threatened. Everybody's being threatened on both sides, which is sad. Who did Katie go back with would be my question. That is $1 million question that I've been trying to find out. Because so far, all we know is she went back on the boat with others. We don't know who those others are. And apparently the brother and sister-in-law picked her up once she got back to the mainland. No, that's not his bio father. Yep, Michelob Ultra Light is what the friends were drinking. Well, there's a bunch of mix up. It says the only person need to be missing for 24 hours. Why did the friends report him missing before the parents? From what I gathered, the friends called the mom first. Is from what I gathered. Now here is the part that I would love for one of these sides to release. What was the conversation about? The mom has never said what the conversation was about, and the friends have never came out and said what this conversation is about. That's the one thing we don't know. So we do know the friends called the mom. And then from there, hey, I guess, have you seen Nolan? No, we haven't seen Nolan. Oh, then they also said Katie was missing too. So is Katie's missing? He was last seen with her. No, and that's when everybody started calling Coast Guard and everything else. That boy mom nudged him in interview. I did see that. I saw the interview where the interviewer went to ask him the question and she kind of nudged him nonchalantly. I saw that. GPS on Javon's boat is needed to since his mom retrieved the phone and Snap was leaving. You know what? The GPS was released by Marine, and the GPS was released by, hold on, it was released by, I forgot who it was. GPS released Nolan activity. Who released it? It was Marine and okay, so the GPS was released by Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. That's who released the GPS. When they released this GPS, we were all, they released it just on one boat, the friend's boat. Why didn't they release GPSs on other boats? Why is it that they just released the GPS on the friend's boat, the one that was breaking down? Why is the GPS not released on the boat Katie was on? Why is the GPS not released on the boat Javon and the other friends were on? Because on situations like this, you need clarity. We need to see if everybody is innocent. So why is it only focused on one boat? Why is it not focused on the other boats? Why is that the only boat we got GPS? Says, I don't remember seeing Nolan drinking though. Here, I'll show you. I actually have a picture of him with the friend right here. That right there is a High Noon, and it's open, and it looks like the pineapple flavor. I know because I have some in the fridge right now. I have High Noons in the fridge. I live here in Florida, and High Noon is a popular summer beach drink. So when people come over, I have High Noons to offer them. So he was drinking a High Noon. Muted. There we go. I didn't even know it was muted. Thanks a lot. I'm here. But no, that is not his biological father. It's not. I did a background report. He has a different dad. Or real father, I should say. I don't know how long the real father's been gone. I don't know. Any of you guys were here for were any of you guys here for the dentist case, which happened the end of last year? Monique and her husband. It was Monique and Spencer Tepe. Were any of you guys in this chat here for that case by chance? I'm going to give you a really good lesson of why you should keep your mind open when it comes to doing this. When it comes to being an investigative journalist, why you should keep your mind open. So were any of you guys in this chat here for Monique and Spencer Tepe, the dentist and his wife who were killed in their home in Ohio? So Rebecca says yes, the Tepe case. While we're talking, I'm gonna just see if I can pull up the biological father. But all right, so we have the Tepe case. So for you guys that don't know, there was a dentist in Ohio the end of last year. Him and his wife's body was found killed in their own home. They both have 2 kids. Now, the 2 kids were untouched. They were fine. But the dentist and his wife were found in the home. Now, a lot of people were speculating on this because the people who found them, or the person who found him, was a co-worker of the dentist. Okay, so a co-worker went to the home and found him. Now, the people who called the police was the owner of the dentist. The owner of the dentist was in Florida on vacation and then called and said, hey, my employee didn't show up to work. Something's wrong. Can you guys do a welfare check and go check? And at the same time, the owner is calling 911. I guess the employees are going to go to the house personally and go check. And he worked, I believe it was like over an hour away. Now, most people online, when this case happened, they found it suspicious of the co-workers or even the owner. People all over online was like, the owner has to. Why would the owner call 911 and say, hey, my employee's not at work. He's missing. Can you do a welfare check? He was supposed to be at work at 7 a.m. and the owner ended up calling at like 8:05. It was only an hour. So people found that very, very suspicious. And people were like all over the owner. Oh my God. It had to be him. And then a brother-in-law came out. Somebody found the original wedding video of Monique and Tepe. The original wedding video was done by the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law was he's trying to be a producer or a horror film type of guy. But he did the video for them, the wedding video, at their own home and posted on his YouTube channel. So his YouTube channel started getting spikes. I mean, it started going and going and going and going. So then people were blaming the brother-in-law. And they were like, the brother-in-law had to do this. He had to. So he can get his movie career going or his film career going. So you had people blaming the brother-in-law and then people blaming the owner of the business. They're saying it had to be an insurance on him. It was so much, right? And you had a lot of people running with this narrative. And me, I was like, hold on. The brother-in-law doing this to get views on a YouTube channel, that's not a good motive for me. I'll keep it open, but it's not good. The owner of the company calling in an hour saying that, can you do a welfare check on my employee? And then the employees go in and find him. I mean, it's possible, but it's not good enough. So you know what I did? Crystal said dentists are never late. Bam. That was the whole owner's call. He said, Spencer is never late. He shows up 45 minutes before 7 o'clock to make sure he is ready for his clients and his appointments. He is never late. So I listened to that. So I was like, hold on. So I went and did a background check on both Spencer and his wife. And guess what I found during the background check of Spencer and his wife that nobody else was even mentioning or talking about? I found that Monique, the wife, had an ex-husband. She was married back in 2015 and they got divorced. He was a doctor. He was a vascular surgeon. This case is still going on, actually. You can look it up. Still going on. He didn't go to trial yet. He was a vascular surgeon, guys. You would not think about accusing a vascular surgeon. That is one of the hardest degrees to get. You're pretty much reconstructing veins is what you're doing. So she was married before. Come to find out, the marriage didn't end in good terms. She left that man in the middle of the day, got a U-Haul, packed all her stuff, and moved out. He came home to an empty home. And I believe it was right when he finished college. This man was supposed to have he was actually a top football player at Ohio State. He walked on to Ohio State, so he probably had dreams to be an NFL star, didn't become an NFL star, and became a doctor instead. Very smart. But you had so many people pointing a finger at the doctor's co-workers, and the owner, because people thought it was suspicious that they called in an hour. Why would somebody call in an hour to report you need to go a welfare check? That makes no sense. My job's never done that. Then you had so many people looking at the brother, but nobody was focusing on her background and looking at this third individual that was her ex-husband. And guess who is in jail right now facing charges? The ex-husband. Do you know why the owner called so quickly? Because Monique was scared that she was going to be found by her ex-husband. She was scared of that man because he was abusive. So of course she tells the dentist, who's her new husband, and the new husband tells people at work, hey, we have a problem. Monique thinks her ex-husband's trying to find her. So if something happens to me where you don't see me at work, please check up on the kids. So people start assuming before they got the whole facts and the whole situation. That is one case I did that was one case I did where I learned that you really have to keep an open mind while doing this. You have to look at everybody. You have to look at everything. And that's why I keep preaching. If there is foul play, if there is, why are we only looking at one group of individuals? If there's foul play, why are we only looking at them? Because his phone was on the boat and they had his phone and keys. So that's why we're looking at them. But there were so many other people there. Katie allegedly was the last one with him, but nobody blames her. Now, I'm not saying she did it, but allegedly she's the last one with him if you think about it. But nobody blames her. There was other group of friends on the island too. That, if you want to talk about an altercation happening, what time did those friends leave? When did they get there? What about their GPS coordinates and their boat? The last video I showed you guys, if that is Nolan Wells on the back of a boat, if that's him on that last video I did, if that's Nolan Wells, whose boat is that? And who's the older guy with the bald head? Exactly. Like, who is the proof of this? Because if that video was taken after the kids left or the boys left, then that's proof that Nolan was still alive, but he's on another boat. So who is this person? Ricky said her ex. We don't know if Katie had an ex on the island that was jealous and was like, oh, he out there, she's talking to Nolan. Oh, hell no. We don't know. I'm just reading some of your comments. See, Matrix, this right here. The old guy is the girlfriend's father. I am one of the best people you're going to come across when investigating. And so far, I have not found proof of that. Nobody has given proof. The only thing people are saying is because the bald head resembles her father's bald head. And if it is the father, then why aren't people looking at Katie? Because that means that a false statement was given by Katie's sister, Gracie. That is a publicly false statement that Gracie gave on her Facebook. So if that is the father, why didn't she leave back with her father then? And from what I saw a boat that's connected to the father, but it's not the same boat. Totally different boat. I even saw jet skis. So there's no proof yet that that is the father. We don't know. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. PhD says, this is a place for well-researched true crime facts. I can subscribe. Amazing Ray. Love from. Thank you so much. No Charge says, so you think when I see the boat leave, I'm not going to be like, hey, you know what? And that was one of my theories. Hey. My daughter just left her phone at Claire's Mall the other day. We're in the mall and my daughter leaves her phone in Claire's. My daughter's attached to her phone, but she put the phone down because she was excited about buying something and left the phone in Claire's. We leave, get in the car. Oh, I don't have my phone. Where's your phone at? Oh my God. We have to call Claire's. Claire's has the phone, but they just closed. All the doors to the mall. So we have to go back the next day and get the phone. I left my own phone in places before, not thinking. So it is possible for him to have the phone on a boat because they're all jumping in salt water. You have to remember, For people that don't spend time in salt water or the ocean, most of the time you don't have your phone in your pocket because it's salt water. So you're leaving your phone. I'm here in Florida. I'm surrounded by beaches. So you leave your phone. I leave my phone in two places. Either I leave it on the sand where my towel is at under a tent, okay? Or sometimes I even leave my phone in the car. It just all depends on the situation. But you never see my phone in my pocket if I'm out on a jet ski. Hell no, my phone's not in my pocket. You can lose it. And if it falls in the water, it's done. So I can see people leaving phones on a boat if they're jumping in the water. And if the boat's taking off, I can see, oh, wait, oh, my phone, oh, you got my phone. I can see that happening. My daughter, just like I said, my daughter just left her phone in Claire's. So it happens. All these situations are possible. Journey said Katie never ever mentioned Nolan was on her father's boat. And they also never mentioned her father was there. They never mentioned her father was there. Her sister said Katie had to ride back with other people. I appreciate your honesty according to facts. That's the way it should be. Facts, not rumors, not timelines. So I'm never going to put false blame on somebody unless I have a clear explanation as to why something has happened. So for you guys that was wondering, yeah, I'm looking at the background report right now of Nolan. Yeah, his real father is somebody else. I'm looking at all the relatives right now. You have the Wells side, and then you have the their last name, what it is right now, Wansley. But yeah, I am going to sit and I'm going to try and dig into the facts. I'm going to try and get the situation straight. See, I see it again. Diana says that boat Little Daddy belongs to Katie's dad. How do you know it belongs to Katie's dad? Nobody can show proof of that. Matter of fact, even a little before daddy, that lets me know that you actually saw the AI image of the video. You saw the picture. That picture has been enhanced by AI. So what AI will do is they'll take that picture and it will put what it thinks is going to go there. If you look at the raw footage of the video, I have it. You can't make up what the first says. You don't know if it says little. We don't know if it says big. We don't know. And nobody has shown proof that that is Katie's dad. Not one person. They'll show you a picture of his dad, of her dad. Then they'll say, oh, look, the head resembles his head. But nobody showed any registration. Nobody showed an official picture of Katie's dad on that boat. Nobody's done nothing. I've looked at Katie's dad's stuff. Katie has a stepmom. I looked at the Katie's stepmom stuff. I looked at the boats. None of the boats that they have match that I've seen. Now, I'm not saying it's not, that boat doesn't belong to them. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, where is the proof? Nobody has shown proof. He said, I'm curious of why the biological dad is not. Yeah, I mean, you know, stuff happens, life happens, right? We don't know exactly what's going on in the family dynamics. But it looks like the guy we see there is pretty much like, you know, his father figure, his dad. So I get it. I'm just going over some of your comments here. Do you see the problems in this case? It's everywhere. Yeah. A lot of false information. That's for one, is just be out there. Always wondered about the last person who's seen Nolan. Yeah. Who is the official last person? So yeah, that picture that you're talking about here, I'm going to pull up the actual video because I told you I have the video of it. So you can see. I have a screenshot and I actually have the video. Is this it right here? Yes, is it. So it was even hard for me to find. It was so hard for me to find a version of this video that wasn't edited. It was so hard. Every video, every picture I found, they were all editing them. Let's see, where is it at? All right, here we go. So here's the original. I'm gonna show you the original right here. So I still have it saved from my last video I did. Let me see if I can zoom in some. Hold on, let me zoom in, guys. Then I'll show you. All right. So this is the original. As you see on the original, you can't even really make out the wording. But what people did was they took this image and then they put it in AI and said, AI, could you clear up this image? Then AI clears the image up and then gives it back to you. But what people don't know is what AI will also do is if AI can't distinguish something like exactly what it is, AI will give you what it thinks it is. So for example, this wording on here, we cannot make up what those first letters say. You can't. You have to be able to clear it up, you know, without using AI. But the problem is, this is so distorted because of the pixels. When you zoom in, this is what happens. Now, if you zoom out, it's different. But when you zoom in, as you see, it's the pixels, you can't do it. So people were taking this and spreading this around with the AI image. See, this is a great question. After the 430 mark, Who was left on the island? Katie, Javon, the other. This is a question I've been asking. I've been asking this question since I found out that 4:30 mark. I've asked that question since then. Who else was left with him after the 4:30? Nobody wants to answer this question. Nobody wants to come out and say, yeah, we was with them at 4. Nobody. So somebody was with them, because I even have a picture of him walking with somebody. We don't know if it's Katie, but he's walking with somebody. Who is the somebody? And these are the people they're saying that this is possibly. Some people are saying, oh, this is Katie's dad. But the problem is, look, you can't tell who that is. And this is where the whole Katie's dad thing comes from. Because of the bald head, because Katie's dad has a bald head, but you don't know. And who are these people on the front? Let me slow it down. Who are these kids? Who are them? So if that is Nolan, then exactly who are these people? And what about the GPS of this boat? What about the GPS of this boat? This is all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Sometimes things are designed to make you look at the wrong people, the wrong individual, the wrong path, the wrong everything, while the real person gets away with things. It could be Mac Daddy. I mean, it could be. The only thing I can make out is Daddy. When you see that footage, the only thing you can make out is Daddy. Go and try and find the actual video. So if you want to go and look for yourself, go online and try and look for the video. There's some people on TikTok who actually posted the actual video and not the picture. So try and look at just the video, the raw video. Because even if somebody was go to court and go to trial, the AI images, the doctored up photos, those get tossed out in court every time. It has to be the original file. All this evidence ain't adding up to who got his phone. Well, once again, is the only reason why the boys are suspects is because of the phone, the whole phone situation? Because if he did accidentally leave the phone on the boat, it's possible. Like I said, my daughter just left her phone in Claire's, so it is possible. Justine, how you doing? Thank you for stopping in. Thank you. Who here has been in the ocean? I'm talking about the actual ocean, not a lake. Who here has been in the salt water? Anybody here that's been in the salt water? I know there's a few of you here that's been in the salt water. Watch this. I'm going to show you this right here. Look. Let me show you this. Let me make myself smaller. I go to the beach quite often. I'm a beach guy. I love the beach. You see how high that water is up? It's up to everybody's chest. There is no phone in nobody's hand. You know what's in their hands? Beers, drinks. There is not one phone in one person's hand. Because what are you going to do? Hold your phone like this the whole time? You're just going to hold your phone and like, if that's what you want to do, then yeah. But everybody has a drink in their hand. Nobody's got a phone. Do you know where people's phones could be? Do you know where their phones could be? Watch this. I'm going to show you. A lot of people didn't even know this existed till I brought this up. You see that yellow bag right there? You see that yellow bag? You guys know what this bag is? Who knows what this yellow bag is right there? For those of you guys that are boaters going to the water, you know what that bag is. And if this is Nolan Wells, he's soaking wet. We don't know if he's getting out the water or getting in the water. So if he's getting in or getting out, he probably don't have his phone on him. Dry bag. Look at that. Dry bag. Waterproof. Dry bag. In a dry bag. See that yellow bag? That's what that bag's for, guys. There's probably phones in that bag right there. People put their phones, their credit cards, their IDs, boater's license, whatever you need goes into that bag. It keeps everything dry. So we don't know how many phones are in that bag. We don't even know if Nolan's phone is in that bag. What if that's Nolan and Nolan's phone is in that bag? Nobody's on the floats though. But then you got to get off the float and you risk getting into the salt water. That's how I could tell you don't really go in the ocean. I could tell. You go to the pool, not the ocean. Different story. You don't want to risk your $1,500 phone getting salt in it. There's no fixing that. But how do we know if that's Nolan? If it's Nolan, how do we know his phone is not in that dry bag? That's what the bag is for. He's standing right next to it. Matter of fact, he is the closest person to the bag. The closest person. We don't know if he's getting out the water to grab his phone. We don't know if he put the phone in a dry bag to get into the water. We don't know. So he's definitely not opening the cooler to get a high noon. Yeah, he only had a high noon in that one picture that we know of. That's all we know. Is that one picture. You said you bring your phone to record the catches, but do you have your phone with you in the water or are you on the boat? That is the difference I'm trying to explain. If you're in the water with your phone, your phone case is waterproof and water resistant. I'm taking my phone. Hey, if that's what you want to do in the ocean, I'm not talking about the pool. We're talking about the ocean. We're talking about salt water. Different story. So if that's what you want to do, go ahead. I'm not doing it. I don't do it. I live 45 minutes from the ocean. I live 45 minutes from Clearwater Beach, one of the best beaches in America. You come here, we got white sands. We got clear waters. It don't even look like it has salt in it. But when we go there, our phones are not in our pockets. Unless we're on the boat. See, yeah, there you go right there. On the boat. I get your point. So that is my whole point. Nobody is in the water, the actual water, with their phone. If you look at all these people, like I say, look at all these people in the water. All these people are in the water. The water's to their chest. Some of them, their necks. Only thing you see is beer cans in their hands. So where's their phones? Maybe a place like this right here. The dry bag. So is it possible Nolan's phone could be in the dry bag? There's a dry bag right next to him, guys, where you put your phone when you want to get in the water. So is it possible his phone could be in a dry bag? And if his phone is in that dry bag, whose boat is this? This is the part a lot of people are not getting. Then whose boat is this? Who's the people on the boat? This is what I mean by you can't have tunnel vision when doing this. You know how many we all know people that are innocent locked up. We all know people who's been locked up that's innocent, right? We can agree with that. Some people have literally been locked up and they're literally innocent. Do you know what happens of why they get locked up and why they get innocent? I have a theory on this, and you guys might see what I'm saying. Prosecutors, they get their evidence from police and investigators. The investigators investigate, they do their job, they gather all the evidence, they take notes, and then they hand it off to the prosecution. Then the prosecution's job is to charge them, put a story together and a motive together, and have the story ready and motive ready when you go to trial. Where a lot of prosecution will mess up at is they have tunnel vision, meaning they would get the evidence all piled up from this investigator. We don't know if this investigator has a vendetta against this person. We don't know. But the prosecution will get all their evidence and then they go gun-ho on all the evidence they got on that one person. They don't have an open mind and be like, oh, wait, what about this person right here? Unless this person right here does something to interrogate themselves, different story. But a lot of times they don't do that. So if the investigator has a vendetta against somebody or just wants to get the case closed, bam, ship everything off to the prosecution. Prosecution does their job of let's prosecute him. And this is how you get innocent people that get locked up. Tunnel vision. Now the phone was in their possession and they lied. Now the phone was in their possession. I'm not questioning that. The phone was in their possession. But we don't know why they lied. That's why I was talking about the case of Gio. You see, all this is relevant. It connects. This is why I was taking the case of Gio. When Gio's own cousins ran off and left him, why did they do that? Because they all been in trouble before. If I remember, one or two of them was on probation and didn't want to get in trouble and ran off. So is it possible that these kids didn't want to get in trouble? There's a call saying they were doing drugs, narcotics. You got to remember, these are 18, 19-year-old kids. We don't know exactly what the hell's going on with them, what they thinking. So we don't know. This is how innocent people get killed. That too. Ray, where did these pictures come from? These pictures and videos came from people online who were there. So people who were there, but the problem is, the main issue is nobody time-stamped these pictures. Nobody time-stamped these photos. That is the biggest issue. Somebody on the boat, filming and things like that. Been in the ocean and almost drowned, sucked in by waves. Sue, I've been there too. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Pacific Ocean is a totally different beast than the ocean is out here. I'm in Florida now. On one side of Florida, you have the Atlantic, and the other side, you have the Gulf of Mexico, what some people will say the Gulf of America now. Then you have the Pacific Ocean. Totally different. You guys know where surfers go to surf? Do you think they're going to Miami, or do you think they're going to Venice Beach in California to surf? There's a reason why they go to Venice Beach to surf and Redondo Beach, but you don't see surfing down here in Miami. The waves aren't big enough. The current is it's not strong enough unless it's hurricane season, the hurricane's coming. It's not big enough. But you go in the Pacific Ocean, totally different. Waves are huge. It could be 6-foot waves coming at you. Have any of you guys been in the ocean with a 6-foot wave coming at you? Now, one thing I can describe, if you've never been in the water, when a rip current happens. I described this in my last video. The best way to describe this, I don't care if you're in the water and it's waist deep. You're standing up like these people are standing up here. You see all these people standing up? All these people are standing up in the water. Now, and they're standing on something. Now, just imagine the floor just gets taken out from underneath them. Woof. What happens? They fall. They get sucked in. That's what a rip current does to you. It's so much force that it will literally pull your feet from underneath you, and you just fall back or fall forward, and it catches you by shock unexpectedly. I had a bodyboard, what some people call a boogie board, okay? And you can tie them to your wrists so they don't get lost in the currents and waves. So I had a bungee cord to my wrist. One hit me. This was a long time ago. I think I was maybe like 17, 18, Nolan's age actually. One hit me, and I never forget that. I thought I was about to die. And I started reaching up, and I was able to get on my board and breathe again. But it happened so quick, and I didn't even know it. Ever since then, I had a different respect for the ocean. Totally different. Now that came from Taco Cowboys. That actually came from the Cajun Navy guy. He said, now you have to remember too, where he was at looking at the body. I have that video. He was actually in the air. Okay, so he was a few hundred feet in the air. Now from his visuals, he said it didn't look waterlogged, but you also have to remember, he's also a few hundred feet in the air looking down. So he wasn't there actually looking at the body. Lisa says, I always leave my phone on the boat. Crystal says, good kids protected by toxic elected officials. Could be true. Everything could be true. We just don't know. A mother knows her child and ain't no other opinion really matters. I hear that a lot. I do. But I was also 18. I was 17. And I did some stuff my mama didn't know I was doing. I ain't gonna tell you guys on here, but I did some stuff my mama didn't know I was doing. I have kids. I have grown kids. And there's some stuff they did. I'm pretty sure that I don't know they did. Crystal says there is no current here. Oran Island is so small that babies sit on rafts. But see, that's not what I read. If you actually go read on the I think it's National something association, it does tell you. And not only that, if you actually go to the weather, because you can actually look, there's websites that boaters go to and they look at current rip tides and things like that. And it does show you by certain areas like Dogs Keys Pass, because there's a history. Nolan's not the first one. He's just the first one to go like this. But if you look up the history, there's been a couple other people that's been victims of Dogs Keys Pass. One guy was in the boat and the whole boat went under. Whole boat went under, capsized. They have not said anything about the autopsy of waters found in his lungs. They have not gave us no sort of clue or anything. Y'all did great on getting the likes up. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys did. Thank you so much. Says you got so many excuses. Just accept the facts. Who Yeah, what are the facts that we know? So many possibilities. See, that's the thing. Pilot J has it right. Pilot J, you're correct. There is way too many possibilities. We just don't know. All right, you know some questions I would like to have cleared up? Here are some questions I would love to have cleared up. All right. I would like to have cleared up, first of all, when the kids called his mom, what exactly was said? What gave them the knowledge, or I would say, what happened for them to call the mom like, hey, where's Nolan at? We have never got a clarification on that from the kids or even Nolan's mom. Nolan's mom came out and said they called me, but she never said what the conversation said. I would love to have that. Second, I would love to know the GPSs of the other boats. Was there another boat that went back and forth? And what times did they go back and forth? I think that will solve a lot of things. Second, I would love to know exactly who he talked with at 4:30. Nolan's mom said he spoke with somebody at 4:30 and gave it to law enforcement. So who did he exactly speak with at 4:30? So there's three questions right there. That I believe if we got the answers to those three questions, we can probably start eliminating some things and start narrowing down. But because those three questions are open-ended, we don't know nothing. Then it says, look at how deep the water is for people who are next to the boat. You can't leave the anchored boat to get to the island without getting wet. I brought this up in my last video. And the boats are tied down. Actually, if you look closely, you can see the rope above the dry bag. You see it tied down into the water so the boat doesn't drift off. So you have to untie that. You got to unanchor the boat. It's a whole process to get leaving with the boat. It's not just getting in your car and turning the keys on and driving. You got to unanchor it. If you're on a dock, you have to untie it from the dock. You have to do all these things with the boat before you even get on and start driving it. You know why the time changed? The mom. See, this is where misconfusion comes in. The mom actually reported to law enforcement that and not only that, went on her Facebook and said, does anybody have any pictures or videos of Nolan around 4:30 p.m.? That's when he was last seen. And then she told law enforcement as well on dispatch, because that's public information now. Dispatch even says that, hey, Nolan's mom says that he was last seen at 4:30. But then dispatch says the boys took off at 3 p.m. So the dispatch guy got the time wrong when it came to the boys taking off, because the GPS shows them in the water leaving at 3:01, unless it took them an hour to undock or whatever they were doing. But that's where the 4:30 came from, was from the mom, his mom. Well, nobody's throwing her in. The problem is she made everything public, and dispatch made everything public. So you have to remember, when you do these investigations on these true crime events, guys, you have to take everything that's a fact, or even from the victim, the witnesses, you have to look at that all. This is what we all want. The autopsy results. This is what we all want. The autopsy results. But I will be honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be honest. Ben Crump still never released the autopsy results from that one kid that allegedly hung himself. What happened to those autopsy results? So I don't know. I'm just spitting facts here. The family has we don't know. We actually don't know. There's no proof. Nobody's came out and said they have it yet. So we actually don't know. Until somebody comes out and says they're in, we don't know. Matrix says the grand jury holds the future. It does. It really does. It really does. Then it says, if you want to keep your phone with you when you're getting from an anchor boat to land, you need an aquavit. Yeah, or a dry bag like that's right here in the picture. There's a reason why I have this picture up. But a lot of people aren't realizing what the significance of this bag is. This is how you could tell when somebody's actually been out in the ocean and they've been boating. A lot of people don't realize the significance of this bag. This bag can play a big key, and nobody's picking up on that. Because people stick to one thing. Andre said the cell phone was swiped clean. If you go back and listen, they say that the Snapchat was erased. So not the whole phone, but the Snapchat. But even if stuff, they allegedly are going over the phone anyway, them and law enforcement together to find out. Says, I know all about dry bags from canoeing. Yeah. So how do we know his phone ain't in here? How do we know the phone's not in here? How do we know his phone is not in here? How do we know if there is foul play? And I'll say this again. If there is foul play, how do we know that this man ain't involved? See what I'm saying, guys? This is one by tunnel vision. If this is Nolan, if this comes out that this picture is Nolan on the back of this boat, this is proof that Nolan was on the boat with some people. So if there's foul play, how do we know these people aren't involved? How do we know? How do we know these people aren't the ones that did it? If there is. We clearly have, if this is Nolan, we clearly have a clean image of him getting on or getting off a boat with some individuals that we've never even seen or heard before. That's it. We don't know. It's almost like you have a clear photo right here in front of you of a victim that could be standing or with the person who did it, but people don't like, it's right here. If this is him, if something happened to him, why is nobody looking at that? Why? Because everybody's focused on the phone. Everybody's focused on the phone. They're focused on the phone so much that they might not see his phone in his dry bag that's right here, clear as day in the picture. Yes, the phone is a hot topic, just like when I described earlier with the Tepe case. I did the Tepe case. The phone call was the hot topic in that one. And guess what? Everybody was wrong. It was the ex-husband that was in the shadows, and nobody knew she even had an ex-husband because nobody bothered to really look. Everybody just followed what everybody else was saying. Do you know how I remained a fugitive for so long? And I think this is a gift that I have. Do you know how I remained a fugitive? Do you know how I was able to go to Canada? I was able to go to Greenland. I was able to go to Iceland. I was able to go to Mexico. I was able to work at the JFK airport. How do you know I was? Why do you think I was able to do this? Now, I'm not trying to brag and say it's a good thing, but there's a certain skill that I've learned of how to do certain things and look at certain things in a certain way. I had to learn how to throw people off. I had to learn how to throw law enforcement off, meaning send them looking over here while I'm really over here. Figure out how to monitor them looking over here while I'm over here. I had to figure that out. And ever since then, once I figured that out, I was able to open my eyes up to a lot of these cases. This is probably why my channel's growing really fast. Most of these cases I have done so far, probably solved 8 out of 10. You can go back and look. So because of that, I'm able to see through certain things. I'm able to be like, hey, hold on, wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. While everybody's looking here, what about this? What about this? What about it? And all I'm trying to do is teach you guys the same thing. Don't follow the narrative. Don't follow the narrative. You follow what's presented in front of you. And you thoroughly look at it. Look at it. If you don't know something, then you try and do your own research. You don't go to TikTok, but you try and do your own research on it. Even if you want to go to TikTok, investigate what they're saying. Make sure it's true. You pick up on little clues. You pick up on things. Nobody on YouTube is talking about the dry bag. That's right here in this in this video. Nobody's talking about this dry bag. Who puts a dry bag on the end of the boat? See, for you guys never been on a boat, you don't know this. Who puts a dry bag on the end of the boat? All right, Pilot J, thanks for coming through. I appreciate that. You be good today, all right? And be safe. Thanks a lot for stopping in. But who puts a dry bag on the end of a boat? Usually the dry bag's in the boat, not on the end of the boat. Look how close the dry bag is to the water. Secret says, a person who, wait, that's not it. Hold on, where you go? Right here. Exactly. I think he pissed off a just ex-boyfriend. He could have spiked. This could be, That could be nobody's ever brought up. A lot of people ain't even talking about that. What if Katie had an ex-boyfriend on the island and his ex-boyfriend didn't even was like, hold on, wait. I still like my girl. I'm about to get back with her. Little does she know I'm going to get her back. And then Nolan comes up. And we all know from what Nolan's friends were saying, Nolan had liked Katie. And he finally got to talk to Katie. He finally got to talk to the girl that he likes. Why didn't he get to talk to her before? Did she have a boyfriend and he was waiting for the opportunity? So what if this boyfriend was there on the island too? People don't discuss that. That right there, if you ask me, that right there is probably more of a motive than anything else. If Katie had an ex-boyfriend that she just broke up with, and if there is foul play, that would be more of a motive than any of it. You ain't get with my girl. Easy access, dry bag on the back. Yep, so that means the dry bag is on the back. So that means all these people who are in the water, maybe even Nolan right here, could be possibly using that dry bag so they can get their stuff in and out. It's right there on the edge of the boat. And nobody's still asking whose boat this is. The friends have the greatest. So what's the friend's motive? What is the actual friend's motive? What is more of a motive of an ex-boyfriend? I would love to hear what the motive is, because I keep hearing jealousy. I've heard that jealousy. I even heard that somebody was spreading a rumor that Nolan was a wide receiver and was taking one of the kids' positions. I heard that one. I heard so much, but it's all speculation. It's all rumors, right? But what is more of a motive than an ex-boyfriend? I just gave you a case of the Tepe case with the ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, actually. I just gave you that one. So what's more of a motive than that? Hundreds of people on an island, more than a few are violent drunks or jealous or meth or racists who saw opportunity. Far more likely than the friends doing it. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot. Six says, you have a lot of patience. I do. I do. I do have a lot of patience. Just say, what is the friend's motive? If for you guys that think the friends did it, if you think the friends did it, type what the motive is. Let's go. Type what the motive is. Let's see. I want to see. His back pocket, I actually have a picture. There's nothing in it. It's just a pocket, but it looks like there's no, I know there's no phone in it. I know that for a fact. There's no phone in the back pocket. I actually have a picture. Hold on. Yeah, there's no phone in the back pocket. I do know that. And he's also soaked in wet. So I don't think he would have his phone on him. Like I say, it looks like he's getting in the boat or getting out the boat. We don't know which one it is. But let me see if I can find the actual picture. Hold on. See if I can find it. Just like, oh, you know what? Actually, nobody's, just like this one too. Why isn't nobody talking about this? Let me see if I can find this one. Nobody's talking about this either, if I can find it. Oh, it's storming over here where I'm at. Who is the older guy standing with Katie in the group photo? Nolan is in the background looking over at them. Does anyone see? The thing is, nobody wants to figure out who the other people are, which I don't understand. Nobody wants to figure out who. You have to figure out all suspects. If there's 100 people on the island, you got to figure out all 100 people. If you want to get the case solved, then you have to start narrowing down who has an alibi, who was over here this time, who did this. All right, now it's narrowed down. So nobody's talking about this one right here either. When was this taken? If this is Nolan, when was this taken? And who was he walking with? If it was Nolan, when was this taken and who was he walking with? Nobody talks about this. Not one. You don't really see many people on here talking about this. Who is this person? Or who is he walking with? If this is Nolan, the shorts match. The hair looks like it matches. So who's that? Here's the one thing I thought about too. Here's the one thing I thought about, guys. Here is the one thing I thought about, and this would just be common sense. If the friends did do something, if they did something, some people are saying they brought the body back to the island, all kind of things, right? If they did something, why not just take the phone and throw it in the ocean? You got a boat. Why not just throw it in the water? Why not break it and throw the phone in the ocean? You're already in the ocean. You know how hard it would be to find a phone broken in a phone, and phones don't float. They sink to the bottom. See how hard that would be? So if they did something, why not just throw the phone in the water? Why not just throw it in the water, guys? If they did something. You don't think the mom's judge would have said, hey, you need to take this phone and throw it in the water? You need to take this phone and throw it away? No charge says bias, but we're still waiting on why you say that. Why is there a motive for the friends? What's the motive? It's not bias. It's called thinking logically. Something a lot of people don't do nowadays. This part right here. Look. See this? Everyone is a suspect until this is solved. This is all I'm saying, guys. She made, or he, Divine, made the great comment right there. Everyone's a suspect until this is solved. That is my point. So don't narrow it down on somebody just yet. You have to look at everybody. Put the clues together. Look at all these pictures and videos. Do the best you can to put what you can together. Hey, Inner Strength, thank you for joining. It's being open-minded. Bias would be that's happening, having no reason. Yeah, bias would be me saying, oh, they're innocent. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do anything at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying keep an open mind. Something I noticed a lot of people in the new generation can't do. Don't throw the phone because it's a souvenir, because they never knew. What? That doesn't make, I'm sorry, no charge. That doesn't make sense. Don't throw the phone because it's a souvenir. No. No. Why they lied about the phone? That is a great question. We don't know. But I brought up questions earlier about other cases I did of why people lied. And then it came out why they lied. They're innocent, but they lied to hide something else that they were doing. So, for example, what if they were doing the little Coca-Cola on the boat? They're only 18. You got to remember, one kid is a judge's son. What if he doesn't ruin the family's legacy? Even though the judge is just over family court, she's still a judge. So you have to think about these things. What if they just didn't want to get caught doing drugs? That's what happened in the Geo case. In the Geo case here in Florida, the kids didn't want to get caught doing drugs and one was on probation. And then video showed that Geo literally did it to himself on video. Can't blame them no more. It's on video of him running into the pond in the middle of the night and dark and drowned. So you have to keep an open mind. You got to. Criminals can make mistakes. You're right. And they do. But here's the question. Once again, why go through all that and not throw the phone in the water? That's just not an answer. Yeah, a mistake. But the phone. Like I said, I heard people saying they brought the body back. Why not throw the phone in the water? Jumping to conclusions when there's no evidence of foul play. So far, there's not. You just have the phone that was with the kids and they have to go get the phone. But what about Katie? What about the people he's on the boat with? What about this girl he's walking with in the water if this is him? People. I'm glad some of you guys aren't investigators. The motive is knowing you can get away with it. Not good enough. That's not going to fly in court. Not going to fly in court. You got to act like you're in court and you're facing the prosecutor defense. That's not good enough. Knowing you can get away with it? No. That's not a bigger motive than an ex-boyfriend being on the island being jealous. That is not a bigger motive than that. You're talking your comment pretty much just said the same thing people said in the Ohio case with Spencer Tepe. Same thing. Why did the owner call him missing? Well, the owner felt he can get away with it. And it wasn't even the owner. It was her ex-boyfriend that did it. Because he was jealous. And you know what sucks about this? You know why people didn't know it was the ex-boyfriend when they did find out? It can't be him. Because she divorced him in 2015. It's 2025. He came back 10 years later. He did. That's why he's in jail now. This man held a grudge for 10 years. She got remarried and had kids and everything. He held a grudge for 10 years. Came back and killed that couple. Because he was jealous of her being with the new man and how she left him. So if anybody can do that, if he can do that, anybody can do something. If over jealousy over girl, The friends are not speaking up and hiding. Well, here's the thing. You got to look at this too. And this is not backing them up. But if you were a parent and let's say, what would you do with your kids? If my kids came home and there was some investigation going on or something like that, and people were getting harassed that same night, you better turn your stuff on private. Turn your stuff on private right now. Because you're about to get harassed. You about to get threatened. Both of these families are getting threatened. It's sad. I don't know why people are threatening Nolan's family. Nolan's family's getting threatened and the other's family's getting threatened, which is sad on both sides. Like, why? What's threats don't do anything. Doesn't do nothing. But if your kids are getting threatened, you got to look at it from that point of view. And they are talking. There was over 60 interviews conducted. 60 interviews conducted. We don't know if that's 60 different people or that could be 20 people interviewed 3 times. We don't know. We don't know what they said, but there was interviews that went on. I'm just reading some of you guys' comments. Said Katie looked like she's the passer around. Oh, that comment right. If she is the pass around, that's even more of a reason to have somebody jealous. She got some boy's heart broken. He said, yeah, Katie looks like she could be the pass around. There's always one in the group. We know this. That comment right there, there's always one in the group. And we know they break hearts. Actually, everybody was being so not even just the boys. If you go and listen to the audio dispatch, there's people calling 911 that same night while Nolan was missing, of getting harassed the exact same night, because they couldn't go out and search for him that night because it's nighttime. They had to wait till the morning. So that night, people were calling 911. It's on audio dispatch. Just download Crime Radar. It's right there. Go and listen. You hear people calling, getting threatened, and everything else because Nolan Wells is missing. And you hear it on both sides. That is the sad part about it. You hear it on both sides. It's crazy. She said, my son's got to pass around. I'm like, who's with her tonight? No, Shelly, no, don't play. Why you put your sons out there like that? Shelly, why you do that? Shelly, why did you do that? I said, my son's got to pass around. Oh, man. No charge. I'm sorry to say this, but it looks like you're going to be a victim of a Katie. You're going to be a victim of a Katie in the future if you keep thinking this way. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jackie says, I don't care what time of the day it is. If my friend don't come home, we're all going to look. Yeah. And that's the way it should be. And it should be that way. Hey, so when I was on the run, I was living up in Canada for a bit. I was in Canada and I was in Toronto and Ottawa. And I was in Ottawa. It was my first Halloween there. And in Canada, if you guys are from Canada or ever been to Canada, the alcohol is stronger there in Canada than it is here in the States. Everything's stronger. The green, all that. It's strong. So I didn't know this. I'm still getting used to this. Now, this is why I was on a run. So I'm up in Canada. I have some friends that I meet. I go to this Halloween party. The Halloween party's out in some field at the farm somewhere. Matter of fact, if I can find a picture, I can show you guys exactly what I'm wearing. I got to see if I can find this picture. But anyway, this Halloween party is out in the field, right? I'm drinking. I don't remember what I'm drinking. But anyway, something went over me. I don't know what it was. I decided to go outside. Now, this is the middle of the night on a farm. So there's like, or not, it's a lot of people, houses with a lot of land. Let's put it that way. So there's no street lights, nothing like that. So I go outside and where I'm at, you can see the stars. And I remember looking up at the sky like, oh my God, so pretty. But I guess I kept walking and walking. I get woken up, right? It was like 2 hours later, 3 hours later, I'm woken up. And a girl wakes me up. And it was a girl that I actually met at the party, not the people I gang with. It was a girl at the party. Wakes me up and it's snow because in Canada, Halloween time, it's snowing. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found you. I was wondering where you was at. What the hell happened? Or whatever. And the only reason why so I'm laying in this field like this, because I was drinking in that Canadian liquor. I'm like this. I had this bright yellow hoodie on. And that was the only reason why she found me. So if I had a black hoodie, I probably would have never got found. I probably would have woke up next. Who knows what would have happened? But she found me 2-3 hours later in the snow. And the only reason why she went out to look for me is because she had a crush on me and she was trying to see where I was at, see if I went with another girl or something like that. But the people I was with were so busy partying, they didn't even realize I walked off. So what my personal experience is, yeah, stuff can happen. You just don't know. I could have froze to death. Who knows? For you guys that know, I told the story about the guy I knew who fell off the cliff while camping. Nobody realized he fell off the cliff. Nobody knew he fell off the cliff until law enforcement and the Rangers came. Nobody knew. See if I can find this picture. Pictures. Oh, let's see. With this bright yellow jacket I was wearing. Canada, good old times. Anybody in here from Canada actually right now? I don't know where this picture is. See here. Yeah, I gotta go through my old social media and see if I can find. I gotta go through the fake social media that I had when I was living under a different name and see if I can find this picture. Because I took a picture at the party. But yeah, we don't know, man. There really is not a lot of concrete facts that we know of. We don't know because police has questioned them. We know police question them, but we don't know if anybody's statements came back different than the other statement. When you get interrogated and police interrogate you or they come for you for a question. Hey, Corey, glad you can come in. So when police interrogate you or they come at you for, a different question or something like that, right? What happens is they're going to question you, right? And depending on your age, if you're under 18, either your parent or a lawyer's there. Even if you're over 18, your lawyer can be there, right? I will never get questioned without my lawyer. I'm sorry. I don't care if I didn't do it. I'm not doing any questions with nobody unless my lawyer's there. I don't care if I'm completely innocent, only because I've seen a lot of things. So I am not, me personally, not going to do it. But They question you, right? You give your statement. Then what they do is they go question everybody else. And you got to remember, they got to track down all these people and question them. So they question all the statements. So then what they're going to do is they're going to go back and then look at all the statements and they're going to say, hey, so-and-so's statement doesn't add up. Why doesn't it add up? Maybe the timeline's off. Maybe they claim they were somewhere else, but the friend said they was really over here. So that means somebody's lying. Who's lying? So then what they do is they go back and then they're going to go re-question you again. Same questions, but this time it's going to be probably a little more harsh. Hey, you said that, where were you that night? I was over here at such and such house. Okay, you were. All right. Well, is there any information that you possibly weren't at that house? You know, it depends on the investigator. And then let's say you lie again. Then they might bring to you like some sort of like, and they might lie to you because they're allowed to lie to you. Police are allowed to lie to you. Well, we have evidence that you were at over here. So we have evidence that you weren't where you were at. Then it's up to the person if they want to stick with their story or now if they want to tell the truth or if they want to say, I want my lawyer. That's still not enough evidence to arrest you, technically. So you have people that know their law and some people that don't know the law. This is why some cases happens quicker and happens quicker than others. Some cases are slower than others. Some people just know their law. Some people don't know the law. Some people are just naive and they do anything or whatever, right? And next thing you know, you're just getting caught because you're giving up your phone and everything else. You don't have to give up your phone, even if you're innocent or whatever, right? So this is not to defend anybody, but this is just to say that we don't know exactly what statements are being said. We don't know if anybody's lied. We don't know none of that. Police are not going to tell us this. Why? If I was a cop, I wouldn't tell. I held on it. I do these cases every day. You know how many cases I go through? I go through about 5 cases a day. But you see, I only do one video, and only time I have really one video. Sometimes you get 2. But even when I do these videos, I don't present to you everything I have. I got to make sure it's factual. I got to make sure it lines up. I got to make sure this goes with it. You know, I have to make sure everything. I got to keep the integrity. Can't just give you anything. So I got to make sure. Some things I do want to keep close to the vest, like the police will say. And I see why they do it. Shelly says, never give them anything. No, you don't. So when people say like, oh, they lawyered up and things like that, for the people that's been following this channel before this case even started, I have been saying, because unfortunately I've been locked up. I've seen innocent people locked. I know a guy right now, last name of Williams, right here in Florida, guys. This man is about to be, I think, 68 or 69 years old. He has been in jail since he was, I think, 23 or 24 over a false accusation of robbing a bank. He got in trouble when he was 19, so they got his mugshot and he was on probation. This is also a black guy, so keep that in mind. Now, I'm not saying this only happens to black guys, but this is in Florida, it's the South. He is right now still fighting all this time to get out. All because a witness pointed him out of a lineup. That is the only reason why he got convicted. But there's evidence that shows he wasn't even in the same county as the bank robbery. His public defender that he had did not bother to research the evidence. The public defender that he had didn't bother to research anything because he was so backlogged with work. Made him take a plea deal or say, hey, take this plea deal and plead to the open court. So for you guys that don't know what pleading to the open court is, okay? You have plea deals where you can plead to a certain amount of time. Okay, plead to the judge for 5 years, 10 years. Open court Could be anything. All right. So the public defender said, plead to the open court. You're most likely going to get 5 years or something like that, whatever, right? So he pled to the open court, and guess what the judge gave him? Her life. Life. So this man's been in jail ever since. He had no lawyer, didn't lawyer up, figured I'll go talk with the police. I have nothing to hide. And he's been in there since he's 68. He's been there since 24, 26 years old. When I talked to this man while I was in jail, and I talked to him, because he had his whole legal file. His files were there. He's fighting his case still. And I'm like, oh my God. From then on, I said, I don't care. I do not care if I didn't do it at all. I gotta go talk to my lawyer first, because I'd be darn well if y'all gonna try and charge me with something I didn't do just to try and get the case closed because I matched the description. It ain't happening to me. So I can see why people lawyer up. I'm going to lawyer up. I'm going to. You're not going to catch me walking in any investigations office without my lawyer. I don't care if I am innocent. And I don't care what any of you guys think, because I care more about the court of opinion than the court of public opinion. So the court of opinion is what's going to matter to me. So yeah, let me make sure I get my lawyer. I'm going to tell my lawyer everything that happened, and we're going to walk into the detectives, the investigation room together, not by myself. We're walking together. So if investigators start acting a fool and they start using their tactics on you, because they will lie. For any of you that's been in interrogation room, they will lie, and they know they can lie to get you to tell the truth, which is sad because you're not allowed to lie to them, but they're allowed to lie to you. So once they start doing that, oh no, we got to go. Sorry. Nope. Shelly's an ex-correctional officer. Oh, you are? Oh, so Shelly, you're tough around the edges then. You're tough around the edges then. You are tougher. Were you in, so you were in a, was it a federal prison or county prison? Wow. Shelly was an ex-correctional officer. Okay. Shelly knows. And I'm pretty sure you ran into a lot of people who did it, but I'm pretty sure you probably was like, hold on, this guy might be innocent, or this woman might not have done it. Victor says both teenagers with severe intellect. Yes, actually, you are right. A lot of people were wrongfully convicted. But I do know down in the South, though, because of the Jim Crow laws, at that time, blacks did have a higher conviction rate in the South because of Jim Crow law. So when you went across Florida, Alabama, Georgia too was in there, Mississippi to Texas, because you got to remember, we had these sundown towns and people were getting arrested. Blacks were getting arrested, guys, just for being in a sundown town past the time. Growing up in California, I never knew what a sundown town was. I grew up in LA. I didn't know what a sundown town. What's a sundown town? The hell is that? I'll come down here to Florida. That used to be a sundown town, right? You should be in there. What's a sundown town? You don't know? Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me know this. South Beach, Miami. Look it up. South Beach, Miami was a sundown town. Now it's party central. Everybody and their mama's there. But South Beach, Miami was a sundown town. Who would have guessed? That's crazy. You worked the side that kept people in prison for Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it's not an easy job, though. Being a corrections officer, pretty sure it's not easy at all. Greg said, which is a great point. Could be a great point. If they were racist, they wouldn't even took him to the island with him. This is a great point. Anybody in here ever seen KKK outside of the pictures, outside of the movies? Have anybody in this chat actually has seen in real life KKK members, or a hanging tree, or an area where you're not supposed to be because maybe that's where they're at? We have an area out here. So I'm right outside of Tampa, Florida. I'm gonna show you something. We have an area. I'm right outside of Tampa, Florida, right? And I was like a lot of people, I didn't believe certain things. I thought a lot of this stuff was a myth. Like I said, growing up in Los Angeles, yeah, racism, but it was totally different than here. Totally different. It's not the same as the South. So hold on. Moon Lake Bay. We have this area of Newport Richey, okay? And I'm going to show you guys this so you can see. It's not far from where I live. I can get there in about 40 minutes if I want to, but I don't go. Moon Lake Road, okay, is a road that goes down Port Richey, and I can't remember else, whatever, right? JLR Live might know about this road because JLR Live lives close to the road. He lives close over there. But Moon Lake is a road. Now they're going through a lot of changes, but on one side of the road is nothing but trailer homes, okay? On the other side of the road, you have homes, and the homes are nice upper class homes. Really nice. I knew nothing of this. I knew nothing of the territory of this road whatsoever. Sometimes I would drive down to go to this college because there's a college down the road. And you have people that live off this road that actually own their own planes. There's an airport over there, like a private airport. So there's rich people on one side of the road and people in poverty on the other side of the road. Jackie, yes. Yeah, Tampa. So up in Port Richey, Moon Lake Road. I'm out right outside of Tampa. So I was working when I first moved to Tampa. I was selling cars. I was working at a Ford dealership, right? And a lady bought a car for me. It was an older white lady. And she asked if we can drop the car off to her. So we're like, sure, we could drop the car off to you. So I'm getting the keys, the paperwork ready. I'm about to drop the car off to her. My manager looks at the paperwork. She goes, wait. Where she live at? I'm like, somewhere off of Moon Lake Road. He said, oh, no. You're not going by yourself. You're taking Ricky with you. Ricky, the hillbilly that washes cars in the back. Ricky was cool, but he was a kid that always went mudding. And he was one of those type of like a cool redneck guy. And always went mudding and stuff. He was like, you're taking Ricky with you. I said, why? Trust me, you don't want to be there by yourself. So we went to drop off the car. Ricky with me. Nothing happened though, right? But I come to find out later about Moon Lake. And this is the history of Moon Lake. Moon Lake has a localized reputation for racist incidents due to its history of Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazi presence. Now check this out, guys. This is not that long ago. KK Road adoption. In 1993, the local KKK chapter adopted 1 mile stretch of Moon Lake Road, which caused ongoing friction, was a point of controversy. For decades, neo-Nazi activity in the area also has been noted for visible neo-Nazi presence in Griffin Park and the wider Moon Lake community. The area has struggled with racial tension, and viral reports highlighted confrontations, some involving racial slurs directed at Black residents and visiting attempting to use local lakes. Guys, I live 45 minutes from this. Moon Lake Road. Do I go to Moon Lake? But before I knew about the history of this road, when you look at the trailer park homes, okay, you did see the Confederate flag flying. You see a lot of that, which you do see a lot of that in the South. But then you saw another flag. I didn't know what that flag was until I figured out, oh, wow, that's a KKK flag flying. Didn't even know at first because you don't see that in California. You didn't see that growing up in Los Angeles. You know KKK flags. Oh, well, I don't know what flag that is, but oh, well, KKK. So back in the day, you had a lot of black folks getting arrested for trying to fish around the Moon Lake community because the police was part of it too. Hey, so it has happened. So I do understand when it came to these Jim Crow laws and in the South. The South is a whole different breed, Christina said, man, I love jobs where you have characters like a hillbilly Ricky. Hey, I'm still friends with Ricky. Ricky was cool. Ricky always wanted to take me mudding. I never went because I never had clothes to get dirty to go mudding. But Ricky was cool. Ricky was still friends with me to this day. He said, you better take Ricky with you. You better not go to Moon Lake Road by yourself. He said, I don't care how good a proper English you speak. You're not going. I was like, oh, okay. I knew no history of this place. Said, why is our government allowing this? They go after our people if they feel like we are going against other social politics. But you allow people to live by their own rule. Hey, I mean, some places it's just embedded in them. Some places it's like that, unfortunately. Jack, I know exactly where you live. I know what you're talking about. Orient and Falkenberg. I lived right by the jails close to Seffner. We weren't allowed to go to the back of our neighborhood. We had to go all the way around because KKK was out back of the neighborhood. Nice houses, private street. Yep, I know exactly where you're at. Orient Road Jail in Falkenberg. I know Seffner. I didn't live far from Seffner. I actually lived in Brandon for a little bit before I moved to where I'm at now. So, because of this history, I do understand that, and you have to be a fool to not understand, like, all right, could the police be covering something up in Mississippi and Nolan Wells? Hey, it could be. The thing is, we just don't know. We don't know anything yet. Could they be following protocol and doing things the right way? Yeah, they could be. But because of the history, this is why some people look at them sideways. It's just like Moon Lake Road. If something happened to an individual of color on Moon Lake Road that I showed you about, people are going to have questions. They're going to. They're going to have questions. Like, hold on, wait. My question, first of all, is going to be like, why was he even over on Moon Lake Road? But then again, he might not have known better because I didn't know when I first moved here. Didn't even know. I didn't know anything about this stuff. This was all new to me. I thought KKK was a myth. I thought it was something we learned about in school and they put in our history books just so we could talk about it. I didn't even know it existed. I thought it was a myth. I had no idea. Hey, Justine, Few TV, are you done with the NG case? Still want to clap? No, I'm not done. I am not done. Not done. I just had a lot of people email me about Nolan Wells. So this and the kids from Ohio, the 16 kids found out the house in Ohio. So I just been doing these two cases the last like week and a half, both of those cases. But I had a lot of people email me about this. So I decided to tackle this to see what I can find. But no, I'm still with the Nancy Guthrie thing. But no, we're still gonna do a collab. Don't worry, Justine, I got you. Yeah, they're not over in that area no more. You are correct. It actually changed. Valrico's actually a nice area. I almost moved to Valrico. That's a nice area. I'm in Wesley Chapel, actually. Victor said, no, it's not a myth. My father-in-law was a part of a white league similar to it. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know. It's funny how we're all in America. We're all in America. But it's crazy how if you live on one side of America, it's totally different than the other side of America. Totally different. You have the West, the Midwest, the East, and the South. And all four regions are totally different than each other. The language, how they talk, certain words they use. Some people you say route, some people say root, some people say apricot, some people say apricot. I mean, it's totally potato. There's all kind of things that separate us between these regions. And you don't really notice it until you visit the other region. You're like, wait, hold on. I didn't know it existed like another place, Pennsylvania. I didn't know Pennsylvania was like this. So I've always knew Philly. We all know Philly, city of brotherly love. Philly's a big city. But you go up north to, what is it called? Not Allentown. What is it called? Hold on. It's what is? Hold on. Philadelphia. What was it called? It was called, I can't remember the name of it now. I think it was Johnstown, which I believe is North Philadelphia. So anybody from Philadelphia that knows Johnstown, let me know. But somebody told me, yeah, you don't go to Johnstown. That was a sundown town. I'm like, in Pennsylvania? Because all I knew about was Philly. I didn't know Pennsylvania had the country up north. I didn't know that. North of Pennsylvania is all country. I didn't know. You don't go there. Don't be caught there getting gas after nighttime. Like, what? So growing up in LA, you did have, don't get me wrong, like I said, you did have racism. You had a lot of skinhead gangs in LA, and they would stick to like Huntington Beach area, Venice Beach area, and they would be on the beaches at nighttime, right? And it was kind of more like, I guess you want to call it a hate group. They didn't care who you were. They walking on the beach at that time of night. They're going to question you. If you weren't a skinhead, you about to get beat up, whatever it is, right? Sort of like if you ever seen the movie American History X. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. American History X is a prime example of the skinheads there in California. But you didn't see the KKK running down the street. You didn't see crosses burn. You didn't hear of no sundown towns. Now, you did know of certain beaches you couldn't go past a certain time because of the Aryan Nation territory. You know that because Aryan Nation is part of like a skinhead's part of their branch or whatever. I don't know exactly how it goes, but I just know when they're all in jail, they're part of Aryan Nation. But it was a little different. But when you came here, oh my God. Woo! Woo! Wee! You definitely had to know where you're going to be at. Voting doesn't help if the whole town. It's the politicians of the town that allows this and makes the rules. And then, they did the rights of, they gave us the amendment rights and everything else to try and ease that. But the problem is you still have these little independent towns that still want to go by their own rules. So here's the thing. The rules aren't in your face. Back in before, it used to be pictures of a sundown town. They used to tell you, hey, not allowed. Watch. It used to be pictures back in the day to let you know. There was a picture, and I think it was Winter Haven, which is in between Tampa and Orlando. And that picture, not a picture, but it was like a sign. You know how you enter, you go to a state and it says, welcome to Georgia, welcome to Florida. You used to have these signs up that says Sundown Town. Used to say that. And Winter Haven had a sign up for the longest time. Is this it right here? Let me see. Buffalo, New York even had some areas around Tonawanda. Let me see here. Hold on. See if I can try and see if I can pull up some of the signs that people used to see. Here we go. Here we go. Guys, look at this. This was actually 2020. 2020. This is right in Buffalo. Tonawanda is a subdivision of Buffalo. Okay? I spent time in Buffalo for a little bit too. Jessica says, yep, I'm in Philly. Yeah, Philly's totally different than Jonestown or Johnstown, whatever it is, or, you know, up north. Totally different. Like two different, just like two different states almost. It's like North Philly feels like country almost, or north of Pennsylvania, I should say. But look at this right here. This is Tonawanda. A Sundowners. Look at the sign. Welcome to Sundowners, a neighborhood crime watch community. A sundown town historically meant black people were not allowed to live there, and sundown towns popped up across the United States between 1890 and 1940. This was 2020. This sign was taken down. See what it has to say.
Moderate to severe eczema with that unbearable itch. When it's uncontrolled despite topical treatment,
eczema. You guys got an itch?
That lasts. Nemluvio blocks the signaling from IL-31, a switch that triggers key symptoms of eczema.
You guys up here playing the music, trying to get me copyrighted. Hurry up with your ad, with your eczema ad. Actually, I used to get eczema. I still get it sometimes. Start itching. All right, let's see what we got.
It's a sign that caused some to look back in time, and many didn't feel that this sign reading Sundowners, a neighborhood watch community, was appropriate to have up in North Tonawanda in 2020.
They objected to it or took offense to it or at least brought attention to it.
A sundown town historically meant black people were not allowed to live there, and sundown towns popped up all across the United States between 1890 and 1940. Historians say it meant a black person needed to be gone before the sun went down, in many cases between 6 and 9 p.m.
Well, then we don't want them in our town. And so that became
It'd be the weirdest ad, you're right.
Practice.
James Lowen wrote the book Sundown Towns, A Hidden Dimension of American Racism. He's studied sundown towns across America, and historically, he says there's not much in the history books about them, but they existed. North Tonawanda is in his book.
Proves that it's a sundown town is if you find specific instances of behavior where African American families get driven out of town or forbidden to come in or one thing or another.
Let's see here.
Found many
Hold on.
such things in both Tonawanda and North
Victor.
Tonawanda.
Lowen says it's a mostly silent piece of American history that existed for a number of years.
I have to say that.
Hey, Victor, let's be polite. Let's be polite, Victor.
It isn't
all right? So let's be polite, Victor.
Used widely in New York or Pennsylvania.
But some did know the history of the name, and after some public criticism a couple of months ago, 2 of these signs were removed.
There was a lot of attention brought to it, and I had asked people, you know, well, what connotation do you take with this, you know, and most of them said, well, we didn't think much about it, except sundowners, they just kind of thought, well, when the sun goes down and it gets dark, more crime may happen. So they named themselves the Sundowners.
One neighbor told me, I didn't know what it meant, but now that I do, I understand why it was taken down.
In our city, we hope everyone's treated equally, and if we find out they're not, we try to fix it.
That is a subdivision right in Buffalo, New York. So upstate New York. And only reason why I knew about it, because when I left Canada, I went to Buffalo. And Tonawanda is a subdivision. And to this day, you still see mostly white people in North Tonawanda. And I'm not saying they're racist, but it was a sundown town. And people told me when I was in Buffalo, hey, don't be going to any of those bars over there past nighttime. Because as you see, that sign was up in 2020. I was in Buffalo. When was I in Buffalo? 2011. And they just now took the sign down. Just now. 6 years ago. So I've seen that sign personally. And I want to say that was the first time I found out what a sundown town was. I think that was from that sign. Because I had no idea what a sundown town. I didn't know. Don't go to there. They're the sundowners. What do you mean? What is a sundowner? Are you talking about they're vampires? What are you talking about? No, they don't like black folks. What? What are you talking about? Well, I'm mixed with white. Is it going to count? Nope. Nope. Oh, damn it. But I see why. Yeah, you don't want to make Nolan Wells. You don't want to make the case about race because you don't want to say the kids are racist. And that comment earlier, because this actually comment started from a guy posting earlier. Somebody posted earlier. They said if the kids are really racist, they wouldn't have put them on the boat and took them to the island in the first place. And I kind of agree with that because some real racists that I've been here in the South and I'm noticing for myself don't even want you around. They don't even want you close to them. They don't even want to share your money. They don't want to do nothing about you. They don't want you on their streets. They don't want you fishing in their lakes. They don't want you on Moon Lake Road driving. So I've kind of seen that down here. So I get what he was saying with that. It made sense from what I've seen with my eyes since I've been down here. What do we have going on here? Hold on, I'm just reading some of the comments. What is this? 5 rich black men can usually, what are you talking, huh? Yeah. Hold on real quick, guys. I hope you guys have appreciated the live today and everybody's opinions. Hold on real quick. Where are you at? All right. But once again, thank you for everybody being in the chat. I appreciate that. Anybody who was making rude comments, rude towards other people, they will be removed or blocked, or people will not see your messages. No call for that. We are all humans. We all have our own opinion, and we should be able to talk like adults without calling each other out of their names. You guys shouldn't have to worry about that. That's been taken care of. Hey, Crystal, how you doing? So as I said, with KKK members who liked me when they got to know me, they invited me out to eat with them and other activities. Hey, good for you. You took a big risk there. You you really took a big risk with that one. Good for you. Cause Thank you, Shelly. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you as well. Yeah, thank you for coming. And this space, guys, this space should be a space. This community should be a safe space, a safe community to share your thoughts on any of these subjects, these topics, these crimes that we cover without somebody judging you. Yes, some people are always going to think differently. They're going to think, okay, I think this person did it because of this. I mean, we're seeing it with Nancy Grace. We're seeing it with Nancy Grace. I'm not Nancy Grace, Nancy Guthrie. We're seeing it there. There's 80 different people with 80 different theories about what happened to Nancy Guthrie, right? Because it hasn't been solved yet. And it's part of human nature. It's part of our brains, how we work. We want to figure something out. We want to solve something. If we don't know it, then our human nature, we're going to try to fill it with something. We are going to, and that's just how we think. Okay, well, possibly this because this person, or this because of that person. It's just how we think. So people are going to have different opinions. And just like even when people get charged, people have different opinions. I don't think that person should be charged. We see it with Charlie Kirk. I don't think it was a setup. So it's going to happen. It doesn't mean that people have to fight. It doesn't mean that people should be calling each other out of their names. It shouldn't mean you don't have to like a person. Just have an intelligent conversation and figure out why that person thinks that. Well, why? All right. Then you're going to agree to disagree, and keep it moving. That's how it should work. That's how everybody should work. There's people, I have members on this channel that I'm pretty sure don't agree with everything I say, and I'm pretty sure I don't agree with everything they say. You're not going to. I have family members in my house. I don't agree with everything they say. It don't mean I'm going to walk away from them and call them, out their name. Hey, all right, true. Why do you think that? Okay, I understand why you think that. I understand, If people took that approach with more things in everyday in life, we would have less issues. Ain't no charge anytime. Come back, all right? Come back. As you see, you can say what's on your mind and we can debate it because I don't mind a healthy debate and we can debate it and that's the way it should be. And then we talk about it and then hopefully we all leave learning something from one another. Like, hey, okay, you stay safe out there. Don't get into no trouble, all right? Yep, this guy is sharp. He'll have a national and level-headed response to any developments. Other YouTubers will spin what they want, depending on how they want to make it. This is why my channel is probably growing so fast, because I am going to be level-headed. I'm not going to try and let emotions take over. The only time you will see me where I'm like, I call out my Nancy Grace side. I have a Nancy Grace side. That is when I see young children, okay, getting taken advantage of by like their parents or something like that, okay, like the Melody Buzzard case. If you guys know Melody Buzzard, like that whole situation, my Nancy Grace came out for that one because we know the mom was doing something with the daughter. We know the mom was doing something with the daughter. Nobody debated that. We all knew the mom was guilty doing something with that daughter. So when it comes to something like that, then you're going to see a little bit of like, yeah, you rot. Give them the chair. You're going to see that for sure with something like that. Thank you, Crystal. I'm glad you found it too. I'm glad you found it. Crystal Missile says no sundowners. No sundowners. Please, yes, no sun. You know what? If a sundowner wants to come into the chat, I will welcome them. I will welcome just because I want to see what they have to say. I want to see what makes them think. Why do you think this way? I want to see why. That's the type of person I am. I want to sit down and talk to you. Even if you agree totally opposite with me, I want to talk with you. I want to see why. Why do you think this way? Is it something that happened when you were a kid? Is there a situation that happened with you when you were little? Did your parents teach you this? Why? What is it? What's going on? A lot of people don't want to have conversations like that. Oh, yes. Emmanuel Harrell. Emmanuel Harrell is another case. We all saw the parents lying on national TV. We all saw the parents lying on national TV. And that was another one, too. Everybody knew. And everybody's like, hold on. And that's when everybody was like, you know what? Throw them away for the rest of their life. So, yeah, certain situations you will, it gets you. Yes, Ray, you should do that. We are all grown, I would hope. Oh, right. Some of us ain't grown. Some of us is not grown. But I want to say thank you guys for tuning in, joining. Oh, wow. We've been on here for 4 hours. It's probably one of the longest lives I have done. Thank you guys for tuning in. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells. Okay. Rest in peace to Nolan. And hopefully we find out soon what happened to him. All I ask with you guys that's watching this, keep an open mind. Just try and keep an open mind. So that way, if you do see something, a clue, you see something that comes across, then it's easier for you to receive it and accept that clue to maybe now you can put a puzzle together and maybe even for yourself see exactly, possibly what has happened. If it's foul play, if it's not foul play, if it is foul play, who did it? Because like I said, we have more than just those boys. There's more than just those boys that's involved with this. There is. So you have to get down to the actual facts and try and have an open mind about everything. Because if you can have an open mind, trust me, if you can do that, life will even be easier for you. Hey, I look young, but there's a reason why I look young. I know how to stay stress-free. But you guys take care, okay? All right. Hopefully justice comes to Nolan Wells. We get to see exactly what happened to him. Rest in peace to his soul. My condolences go out to his family, his parents, brothers, sisters, anybody close situation, his teammates. If anybody of them was watching this broadcast, and you guys take care of one another. Please love one another. Love thy neighbor, right? Love thy neighbor. You might hate your neighbor. If you hate your neighbor, try and figure out a way to squash it. Even if it's over some peach cobbler, try something. You never know. But you guys take care, all right? I will see you next time.